When Architects joined, were they actually big or were they still?
So this is Architects is probably my proudest campaigns have been with Architects. Um, so when I took them on, they probably would get maybe 2 plays on the radio. They would get maybe, two plays on Radio 1. It was about 10 years ago. So it was a real challenge. And, we went from this to getting a #1 record and to getting a Radio 1 A-list. So I am so proud of what we've achieved with Architects, I remember, trying really hard. And the first breakthrough was with a single called Grave Digger. So if you can imagine, what can you do with a single called Grave Digger? Well, I managed to get Radio 1 to make it track of the day, which meant that it would be played every day on every daytime show that day. And actually, Radio 1 got complaints from people who own shops because, then suddenly like Gravedigger would come on and people would complain, people leave the shop. So it's a good story. So that was the first breakthrough. And then we started getting playlists. The first playlist was Doomsday, which is already quite an achievement because it's quite heavy. Second playlist was even heavier. It was Hereafter. And then, then we progressed to bigger things like For Those That Wish to Exist, where we got 3 playlists and, until we got Meteor on the A-list, which when you think about it is absolutely mental because it is the same radio rotation as like Taylor Swift, and we got a #1 record and it was huge. It was a huge moment where you just think, oh my God, we went from 2 plays to, getting them to be A-listers really, so.
That is quite a huge achievement to get them A-listed. Could you just sort of explain the difference between A-list or B-list or the different sort of things that you're trying to get them on?
So basically the difference between A-list and B-list is just the number of plays that you get per week. Obviously there's also status that, if you reach A-list, the next time round when you go into Radio 1, you get different feedback because you're going in with this as ammunition. You say, this is an A-list band, you should give us a, hottest record. You should give us at least that, So mainly the number of plays, also the status. And I think it just opened doors. Like, after the #1 record and after the A-list, I remember getting Architects on the Elton John show, which is absolutely mental. And I remember it meant so much to them. They actually said, we don't even know if getting a #1 is bigger for us or Elton John. So it just opened doors because you just say, okay, well, this is this band. They're on the A-list at Radio 1. We got a #1. What can you do for us? This is when you get those results. This is the time to actually keep pushing and to try to get more.
And how do you sort of go about doing that? What's the sort of process when they approach you with the single?
Oh, okay.
Or do you help choose the single?
Yeah, I do. And actually, this is why this was one of my proudest moments because A-list was achieved with a single called Meteor. And I fought for that single. I fought so hard. And, they agreed to release it 2 weeks before album release, which is not a long time because Radio 1 tend to support a band mainly before album release. So if you have the big single 2 weeks before release, then you only have 2 weeks to make it happen. And to get on that playlist, you need to get a lot of important plays, a lot of spot plays for it to be ready for playlist consideration. So we got a hottest record with Meteor. And so in 2 weeks, I just tried to talk to everybody on the playlist team to try and make it happen. And it did. So it starts at C-list. And then every week you fight and you say, oh, look, this is the midweek position. Or, you say, you send the Spotify numbers, or you just every week you just try harder, and then it moves to B-list. And then the A-list is the hardest, really. And I think it's because we got a #1 that we got A-list, So you basically, from the moment you have a single that can possibly get on the Radio 1 playlist, you just don't stop for 8 weeks. Like, this is your life. Your life is talking to these Radio 1 producers, to people who sit on the playlist team, you go see them, you try and get appointments with them, you harass them, you persuade them. When they say no, you keep going. You know, this is your life, you know. So that's all you do for 8 weeks.
Just the enthusiasm that you're saying, like, you go into the fight with, I'd really want you in my corner. You're like, it sounds as though if it was easy, you wouldn't want to do it.
Oh my God. But you know, I keep thinking, if all I was doing all the time was getting bands on Radio 1 playlist, I'd have a nervous breakdown. It's just too much. You know, luckily, it's not every band that can get on the Radio 1 playlist. So it's only once in a while.
Who is it that you're discussing the single with? Is it the manager, the band directly, the label? Who is it that's making the decision with you?
So the label and the managers, sometimes the band as well, you know, and sometimes international team, like we all get together on a call. I remember, especially for that single Meteor, I remember really being on a call with the entire team, you know, US, Europe, me. This is the one. This is the one. We have to go with this one. This is the one. And also, that is just so much pressure.
Did they have a different idea of what they wanted?
Well, it's not that. It's because I think that, you know, I think that they wanted to maybe wait until the album was released to use that one. But I wanted it before because Radio 1 tend to support more prior to album release. You know, and so I just had to fight so much. And you know, and eventually they said yes, but there's so much pressure because what if it doesn't work out? What if you fight for that single and it's not the one, you know?
What does it mean to the band's career when it does work out and you do get that listing?
Oh my God, it means so much. I mean, well, first of all, in terms of record sales, I think it means a lot. If you're trying to chart, you know, the Radio 1 playlist will definitely help. I mean, if you think about it, even my mother knows architects, you know, and I mean, like, because you would get in the car and you'd hear architects, you know what I mean? What are the chances? I mean, even when you think about it, like press is also important, yes, but you still have to be a reader of that particular publication to come across it. Radio, you can get in your car and hear architects, you know, and then you can hear architects in between Lewis Capaldi and Taylor Swift. And that's crazy when you think about it.
When you're thinking about putting together your radio campaign, are you doing that sort of more on your own as part of the team with the wider press or like wider PR and being like, okay, we're going to have this print campaign, so we need radio at this time? Or does it all sync up?
Yeah, it does. Like, you know, we usually have meetings and we decide when the singles are going to be released and when we're aiming for, covers. Yeah, we do coordinate. Like if it's a good team, yeah, you will know what's going on with everyone else. But in terms of like, the targets and what you're hoping to achieve, then obviously that's all me,
And do you work that out with the manager or the label, or is it just
everybody?
You come in?
Everybody. I mean, sometimes it's you dealing directly with the label who then relays to the manager. But in the case of, for example, architects, because we've been working together for so long, then we tend to do it all together on calls. And sometimes even by text. Like, for example, I remember receiving, Animals, the single. The manager sent me Animals by text. And I was, it was a few months before, and I was at my parents' house in the south of France, in their kitchen. And I just, I listened to that single and I thought, oh my God, this is going to be the biggest hit ever, And so, yeah.
Is it exciting when you get sent something and you can hear or see it being played and picked up?
Oh my God, it's so exciting and also so stressful because you think, oh my God, this is a huge hit. I better deliver, you know what I mean? Especially when you believe that this should be a hit, you know what I mean? So.
Have you had anywhere you feel like you didn't deliver?
Yes. But not my fault. And I'm saying this, there's been times where I've tried so hard and I know that I've done everything I possibly could, but I still feel like, because I didn't get the result that I was hoping for or they were hoping for, that I didn't deliver. And it's horrible. And this is why this job is challenging, because your effort don't always match the results. It's not in your hand. Like, you know what I mean? All you can do is influence people and punish them, as in like harass them. But at the end of the day, you can't put a gun to their head, because the problem is it's also what else is up for consideration that week. You know, if that week you have, you know, 3 other big releases, well, then your rock band is not going to get on. Let's face it, you know.